and wild. They say the heart of rock and roll is still beating, and from what I've seen, I believe 'em. Now the other may be barely breathing, but the heart of rock and roll is still beating.
Heart of Rock and Roll. That's Huey Lewis and the News right here on Dan Radio Style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Certainly I'm here on this side of the fence. There we go. Finally got that figured out. Things happen for a reason. It's kind of one of those things that has made an enormous difference in my life as far as navigating the mind chatter, navigating the doubts, navigating some of the things that tend to happen in our lives. When we get really heavily involved in the law of attraction, when we start to really look at what we're doing, what we're thinking, what we're saying, right? All these things, what we're focusing on, we start to notice that, oh, wow, I'm playing a part in things. And then you start hearing things like us pushed out. You hear things like focus-based universe. You hear things about not loving yourself enough. And every time anything sort of out of the ordinary happens, anything upsetting, anything not positive or good, we instantly panic and we assume it has to be something horrible. We assume I must be doing something wrong. I assume that I'm punishing myself for some negative thought, or it's me pushed out in some weird way, and it's right. Like we instantly jump to this avenue of thinking that everything that happens at every moment of every second of every day has the same thing to do with everything. I guess let me say it this way. We create what's happening to us, yes, on a large level. And although we may be trying to manifest more money or a relationship with a specific person or whatever, right? House, car, boat, plane ride somewhere, vacation. We're trying to create something. And so that's maybe kind of why you're watching this video, right? Maybe something in there, or maybe you just enjoy watching my videos. Thank you. But a lot of times we think we're focused on this one thing, and if other things happen in our lives, it has to be related to that one thing because that's what I've been focused on. Not necessarily always the case. And so why I'm calling this things happen for a reason is not everything is necessarily bad, first off. Not everything is necessarily a negative strike against you. Not necessarily everything that happens that maybe is questionable is maybe something that you've done wrong. Sometimes things are a contrast. Sometimes things are meant to help us see the opposite. Sometimes they talk about when we're manifesting things, that you almost need to manifest the absence of it some first before you get the thing you're trying to get. I think, again, I've talked about this in other videos. I think that has to do with the distance between the polar aspect of our lives, right? Like, what's the worst thing you've experienced? Well, here's the best thing, and the distance between that is kind of like your understanding of it. Like our wealth of understanding has to do with the distance between the best and worst in any case. Sometimes things are tests. Sometimes there's a reason that we need to question, do I want this bad enough? Am I willing to try a little extra hard because it just got difficult? Is it still important enough to me? Sometimes there is that level, that bar, like how badly do you want it? Because sometimes it's really that level of, I freaking do want it. That's it. I'm having it. And it's that difference that happens when you turn that switch on inside yourself that can oftentimes push us towards what it is that we're trying to manifest. So if we have an obstacle, if we have some sort of thing that pops up, if we have some sort of person that's maybe being interesting, maybe that person you work with, now that you're working on law of attraction and you're trying to work on the specific relationship, well, now maybe all of a sudden there's this lady you work with, maybe she's a manager, and now all of a sudden, just out of the blue, she started kind of becoming weird to you, mean to you, right? I'm going to use this as a good example because this has happened to me before for sure. So now all of a sudden, this person's really being frustrating to me. What a lot of people do when this happens is they look at it and go, whoa, why is this person being mean to me? I must be doing something wrong. This is me pushed out, right? This is all this stuff. The way I look at it, especially when I'm trying to manifest something over here and then all of a sudden this happens over here and it seems unrelated. I don't ever believe anything is unrelated. I think everything is related. But when I see that, it's like, oh, maybe it's time to start looking for a different job. Maybe that's part of this manifestation over here is a different career job, which maybe is going to allow me the schedule, maybe the income, maybe all the above. So the relationship actually works better. So I'm trying to manifest this over here, not understanding that there's extra levels of complexity to manifesting this thing over here. So maybe the person that's being grumpy to me isn't necessarily a bad thing, isn't necessarily me pushed out, it is what it is. It was meant to get my attention and maybe meant to help inspire an action in me that is needed. You know, universe can't just like throw up a little thing and say, dude, you need to look for another job. Sometimes it might find creative ways to do that, but one way that it might happen as well is person that you work with, so-and-so, now all of a sudden out of the blue just will not get up outside of your you-know-where. That's not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of us are into labeling things as we see it, just right off the bat, boom. This happened, this must be bad. It must be bad because I didn't feel good at the moment. But if something bad happens, quote unquote, if something bad happens and it inspires an action or it inspires a decision, or because of this thing, you finally stopped being an addict, or because of this one thing, you finally stopped behaving poorly to others because you realized people were behaving weird to you, or you finally changed some behavior. If a bad thing inspires change and thusly helps create a better life, was it a bad thing? Was it really? Without it, you might still be in that place where you didn't understand what you now do. A lot of us get so hung up on something that happens to us in the moment. Oh, no. It's not the end of the world. And really one of the big differences is just looking at it and realizing stuff always works out. One, it does. It always works out. It really does. It may suck at the moment, but whatever the case is, it's going to work out. And there's probably something behind this. What is it? What am I here to learn? What am I here to know? What am I here to change? What am I here to affect? What am I here for? Why is this happening right now? What can I gain from this and what can I learn from this? See the joy in it. See the business side of it, if you will. And when you do, you can start to truly appreciate life and the complexities of it and the way things unfold. And sometimes when you're trying to manifest something good, maybe that specific person dates someone else maybe for a week or two. Maybe they needed that experience to understand you, to appreciate you. Weird things can unfold. So if you're noticing there's maybe some strange events in your life, don't necessarily panic as much about it. See it that, yes, there's some things in transition. Things are changing. Keep focusing on what you would like to experience. The things we talk about, that still doesn't go away. What you focus on, what you think, what you say, what you do is what you're manifesting. It's what you're creating. It's what you're co-creating in most cases. Keep working on making sure that's happening correctly, pruning our thoughts, as Goddard says. But when something pops up, it's not an instant you failed. It's not necessarily. There's probably other stuff to it. Accept it for the bigger picture. A bigger picture is in play, is happening right now around you, all around you. And you're interacting. And your transition is occurring. It's occurring. I know a lot of us are trying to manifest a very finite, specific moment in time, but we still ultimately have to crawl through the steps to get to that spot. Just the way that physics works. It's the way that this space-time works. I know they say a lot of stuff in the books. I'm just talking about reality, right? Like, I get that that's a limiting belief. You can manifest really quick, and I've manifested some things very quickly and within minutes to hours sometimes. But it still took minutes to hours, which is super fast. So, whatever. A lot of people get very hung up on words, and I think it's a better thing to kind of ebb and flow with a lot of this. Kind of you can do a lot better in the windstorm if you can bend a little with the wind rather than being so rigid, because the rigid stuff's what breaks. So try to allow yourself a little flex. Learn your waves, your undulations. Learn your rhythms. Is it certain times of day that you start to question? Right? Learn the way you experience this process. Ebb and flow with it. Learn with it, and you will find what works for you. Much like anything, much like exercise diets, everything else under the sun, religions, everyone's is tailored to their needs, or should be a little more so anyways, because that's really where it's at. We're all unique in that regard, our take on things. Hopefully this helps. Seeing the reason, understanding there is a reason, appreciating that it's not necessarily bad, and yeah, maybe sometimes it is. Maybe it is an indication that you need to fix your thoughts. I'm not trying to say that's not it either. But I think a lot of times people kind of freak out when something bad happens and they instantly just shine a spotlight on that bad and go, oh, this is bad. This means it's bad. It's like, whoa, no, that's part of this, which is then going to affect this over here. And then this happens, right? And then bam, suddenly you guys are meeting together at the Christmas party. Trust me, just let this go. So we spotlight things sometimes that we shouldn't. It's a big picture. Things are happening. There's a reason for it, probably. But certainly, it's a contrast. It's helping you learn. It's helping you grow. It's helping you see things differently. All of that is a positive. And seeing it as such helps change your world. If you'd like something to go away, cool. Don't keep focusing on it. Focus on what you'd like to experience, and that's fine. That's what you do. You change what you're focusing on, and that's what you'll get more of. So instead of thinking about this saying, how do I not make this happen? How do I keep this from happening? How do I stop this from happening? No. Don't worry about it. It happened. That's cool. You felt your experience. You had it. Now, what would you like to experience? Keep focusing on that. And that's where, when we can start to guide our thoughts back in the direction of where we like to go, we find that the successes come so much faster. Truly. Hopefully this helps. Going out with a great song by Fleetwood Mac. The song's called You Make Lovin' Fun. It's right here on Dan Radio Style.